These are the new metal releases for August 2nd, 2024. I have 2 singles and 6 albums to talk about. One of the singles was from one of my favorite bands that seemed to have come out of nowhere. As for the albums, I have a mix of genres such as blues rock, metalcore, 2 doom bands, and some melodic death metal and thrash. So let's get into it. Let me start with the big one, and that's the new single from Opeth. The name of the single is S1, but it's one of those weird symbols. I had to do some research to see what I meant, and the symbol is a section sign used in legal and academic writing, which is used as a reference to a particular section of a document. Now here's where it gets interesting. The new Opeth album is called The Last Will and Testament, and it's going to be a concept album. The first 7 tracks of the album are called Section 1, Section 2, and so on, up to 7, and track 8 is called A Story Never Told. Therefore, the single is track number 1, or S1. The song seems to be setting up a story as you hear footsteps and goes into some very progressive sounding guitar riffs. So far, the sound of the new song was not very much different than the music of their last album, In Cauda Venenum. Michael Achfeld starts to sing his clean vocals, but then he brings back the death growls, which haven't been used on an Opeth album in a very long time. So in a way, I think they're going back to their classic sound. The song still has a lot of that progressive rock sound, such as the breakdown that comes in after the 2-minute part, and that draws inspirations from some of the great prog rock bands of the early 70s. I feel that this song and the album is going to bring back a sound similar to the sound of their 2000s period, something like Ghost Reveries, which has some of their heaviest music, but also has a very heavy progressive rock influence. I'm looking forward to this new album, and even though Opeth is one of my favorite bands, I still haven't reviewed any of their albums on this channel, so that really needs to change soon. Now for the next single, and that is from Marilyn Mason, and it is the song As Sick as the Secrets Within. This is his first release since the recent controversies that I won't get into at this time. As far as I know, so far there is not any news of a new album. If anyone knows, let us know in the comments. All I know, he was recently signed to Nuclear Blast Records. The song starts with some dark and haunting sounds, followed by some heavy guitar chords. Then when the first verse kicks in, they turn it down a bit with like a very thick and heavy bass guitar sound. His vocals sound the same as they always have. He uses a few different vocal styles with some darker singing styles. There's also a goth rock component to this new song, as well as use of electronics, which also gives it an industrial sound as well. The song seems to have a lot of different sounds mixed into it. It has some heavy parts, some dark parts, and some softer piano parts. I think if he releases another album, it's going to sound like some of his more recent albums. I don't think he's going back to his earlier sound. I'm expecting songs with a lot of electronics and a dark gothic rock sound. So I am interested in hearing what comes next from this album.
There's people talking in a new way.
Now for the album reviews. The first band I have is Blue Pills, and the album is called Birthday. I found the album on the Metal Storm website. They're more of a rock band, but they're heavy enough to be considered for this video. They are a Swedish rock band formed in 2011. They play hard rock, blues rock, and psychedelic rock. This is their 4th studio album. I decided to listen to this because the album caught my eye. I liked the retro feel of the album cover. I was expecting something like the band Lucifer, but I was not completely off. Although this band is not as dark as the band Lucifer, they are a female-fronted band, and when I heard the first song called Birthday, I thought it reminded me of a slightly heavier Janis Joplin, so I liked the retro sound of the band. Then I listened to the next song, and it gave me some post-punk vibes, maybe something like Susie and the Banshees, which was more of a rock and roll song. Then by the 3rd song, I started to notice that her vocals reminded me of Amy Winehouse, so I think that would be a good comparison for the vocals. As for the music, it's mostly retro-sounding blues rock and hard rock. I could hear a lot of influence from psychedelic bands from the 60s. Some of the songs have a funky bass guitar sound, and there are also some keyboards used in some of the songs. Overall, it's not too bad. I don't know if I would consider them a metal band, although some of the songs had some hard rock style guitars in them, but there were also a lot of sultry ballads and such. My score is an 8 out of 10. If you like classic rock, I think this band will be for you, so check it out. Next is the self-titled album from the band Mr. Misery. They're a band from Sweden. They don't really fit into one particular genre. I would say the sound is very close to modern metalcore. The band also has a very theatrical component to their sound and image. They're also known for their theatrical live performances, and they have a very big show. The album has lots of heavy riffs. Some of the riffs sound like thrash metal, but with more of an industrial feel. The vocals are very gothic sounding, kind of like a heavy Marilyn Manson style, and there's also cleaner vocals used as well. Some of the vocals are reminiscent of modern metalcore. Other songs have more of a power metal feel with big theatrical guitar riffs, but instead of being fantasy based, they're more horror movie themed. They're similar to bands like Ice Nine Kills, and there's a bit of an emo sound, something like My Chemical Romance. I also like the fact that they play a lot of traditional heavy sounding metal guitar riffs, and then there's also times when they try to sound more like metalcore with the down-tuned guitar riffs. The music, it's big, it's theatrical, it's dark, kind of campy as well. Not too bad. My score is a 7.5 out of 10. If you like bands like Ice Nine Kills, I think you'll like this band. Next is Solemn Ceremony with the third album, Chapter 3. This is a one-man band from Australia. The band plays doom metal, but it's that old-school doom metal that's similar to bands like Black Sabbath and St. Vitus. The album has 7 songs. It's 43 minutes long. Most of the songs are about dark occult themes. One thing you're going to find in this album is a lot of riffs. The band is not trying to do anything new or add anything to the sound. It's just a lot of slow and heavy riffs, powerful heavy metal style vocals, big drums. Most of the songs are slow moving. So for example, track number 2 has some slow and heavy guitar riffs that conjure up some dark and evil sounds. The title track, Chapter 3, was very reminiscent of the original self-titled Black Sabbath song with that classic string-bending guitar riff. And the song is very sad and a melancholic sound with a lot of emotion poured into the vocal performance. The bass guitar adds another layer of sound to the song. The next song, Arcadia, picks up the pace with some like sludgier riffs and some melodic lead guitar playing. The song evokes images of a dark and abandoned cemetery filled with ghosts of the undead. Then the song King of Slaves has more of a sound that evokes images of ancient civilizations, but the ones that are built out of stone. Overall, just some straightforward doom metal. My score is 7.5 out of 10. Band's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but rather pay homage to the early beginnings of the birth of heavy metal. The next album is called Mourners, Lament with a Grey Farewell. This is some more doom metal, but more that modern, sad, funeral doom. The previous band I spoke about, like Solemn Ceremony, that was more old school, but this is more new school, if that's even a thing. Or, I guess I'm just calling it that, or just call it Death Doom, which is actually what it is. They're from Chile, and they formed in 2004. It's their second full-length album. The music is very atmospheric. Songs are long, pace is slow. There's density in the sound. The guitars sound very big. The vocals are harsh. Death Growls, the opening track, Towards Abandonment, has a very big sound with heavy riffs and other instruments. There's haunting pianos and clean and harsh vocals. The song evokes images of suffering and despair. The second track, Changes, has some softer piano parts in the intro, which make you feel like you're in an old abandoned house. They play some slow and heavy riffs that almost sound like violins. As the song progresses, they use different vocal styles and have soft and heavy parts. It's the type of song where the guitars go back and forth between the clean and distorted sounds. This band knows they don't always need to turn up the distortion. Many parts of the songs are very atmospheric with soft piano sounds. They also use a lot of deep guttural vocals in their songs. Other songs like The Clear Distance have some more classic sounding guitar riffs. My score is an 8 out of 10. If you like some modern funeral doom or death doom, I think you should check out this one. Next one is called Frater, and the album is called Sangre y Viento. This is some Latin American metal from Argentina. They've been active since 2008, and this is the third album. They're labeled as melodic death metal / metalcore. I guess to my ears, they sound more like melodic death metal. Songs are all in Spanish. The opening track is called El Renacido, and this one immediately caught my attention with the fast and heavy guitar riffs. song has some awesome double bass drumming, and the vocals were aggressive and powerful. They also have some softer sounds with a second track called La Espera. The song is a mix of heavy, pummeling guitar riffs and some cleaner, arpeggiated guitar chords. This song evokes the sounds of the Incredible Hulk when he gets angry and he smashes things. Let me also add that this song has some clean vocals as well. Another one of my favorite songs was called Quintos. And this one had somewhat of a hardcore punk sound mixed into their melodic metalcore sound. This sounds like the type of song that would cause a massive mosh pit to break out. Persiguiendo al Sol was another one of my favorites because I felt it had kind of a progressive metal feel. I could hear some early Opeth vibes and some of the guitar playing. I also feel that this band likes to incorporate alternative rock into their sound as well. Some songs give me some grunge vibes in addition to that, but overall, maybe my favorite of the week. My score is an 8.5 out of 10. I think if you like melodic death metal in general, I think you should check out this band. I have one more band, and that is Rise of Kronos with the album Where the Gods Return. This is a death thrash metal band from Germany. They're new on the scene. They formed in 2021. They also have had different versions of the band prior to this in the 2010s called Surface. The album has 11 songs. It's 40 minutes long. The opening track is an instrumental intro track. It might be misleading as to how the band sounds because the intro track sounds like the intro to this epic like power metal album with a big epic score, almost like fantasy based, but that's not really what the band sounds like. They are a death and thrash metal band. The best way to compare them would be the sound of Testament's Demonic album, and the vocals are even similar to Chuck Billy. One of my favorites was the title track, and I like it because it has a very memorable guitar riff and some fast and heavy drumming. But I also like how the rhythms have some like twists and turns. I also like the song Olympic War Machine because the opening guitar riff is simple, but at the same way, very crushing. I also like the galloping sound of the guitars, and this one had more of a death metal sound. My other favorite was called Exit the Light, and that had these staccato guitar riffs that sounded like a big monster destroying the city. Overall, this was probably my second favorite of the week, but I'll also give it an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe it's tied with the one right before it, but I think it's a pretty good thrash and death metal album. So that's all. Check out last week's episode of New Metal Releases for July 27th. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.